When he was just 1 year old, Lorenzo was left in a small orphanage on the outskirts of Florence. His parents, Sebastiano and Claudia, loved him deeply, but poverty had brought them to their knees. Drowning in debt, without a stable job and facing an uncertain future, they did the only thing they thought could save their child. They entrusted him to a facility in the hope that someone could offer him a better life. It was the most difficult and painful choice of their lives, but they believed they were doing what was right for him. Across town, Andrea and Sylvia, a young, newly married couple, wanted with all their hearts to start a family. Both were under 30, but after several attempts and medical visits, they received the news that they could never have biological children. Sylvia cried for days, but Andrea did not give up. Together, they decided that adoption would be their path. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our stories. One summer afternoon, they went to the orphanage, and that's where they saw Lorenzo for the first time. Messy blonde hair, big, deep hazel eyes, and a smile that melted the heart. Sylvia was instantly moved, and Andrea squeezed her hand. They had found their child. The bureaucratic process was long and tiring. Documents, checks, interviews. But in the end, they made it. Lorenzo became part of their home, becoming the center of their world. They loved him from day one, as if he had been born to them. The first years of his new life were happy. Birthday celebrations, trips to the beach, bedtime stories, and sincere hugs. But everything suddenly changed. Sylvia, against all medical predictions, became pregnant. A true miracle, everyone said. In fact, a double miracle. Sylvia was expecting twins. The arrival of the girls should have been a moment of joy for the family, and Lorenzo, naive and curious, was excited at the idea of becoming a big brother. One afternoon, returning from school, he ran to his mother to tell her a poem he had learned, but Andrea stopped him with a brusque gesture. "Be careful," he said in a hard voice. "Your mother is carrying 2 little girls in her womb. You have to be more delicate." Lorenzo nodded. "Will I have little sisters?" he asked with eyes full of enthusiasm. Andrea answered with a cold tone. "Yes, 2. So try not to give us problems." From that day on, something changed. Lorenzo began to walk on tiptoe, to not make noise, to not ask for anything. He just wanted not to disturb. When the twins were born, he was left for 2 weeks by his neighbor, whom he affectionately called Aunt Lella, while his parents stayed in the hospital with the newborns. "But when are they coming back to get me?" she asked one day, looking out the window. "Your mom said they'll be home soon," Aunt Lella replied sweetly. "They can't wait to introduce you to your little sisters." Finally, the taxi with Sylvia and Andrea arrived. Lorenzo ran out with his heart pounding. "Dad!" he shouted joyfully. But Andrea stopped him with a cold look. "Stay back. You'll wake up the girls." Sylvia said nothing. She walked past him annoyed without even glancing at him. From that moment on, Lorenzo became a shadow in her house. Andrea and Sylvia's already limited savings soon ran out. Everything revolved around the girls. Lorenzo was excluded from everything. No snacks, no television, no family time. He had to stay in his room, eat at the school cafeteria, and not be a nuisance. There were no more hugs, laughter, or walks, only silence and solitude. Years passed. At 12, Lorenzo confided his pain to his only true friend, Marco. "I think I was just a filler for my parents," he whispered one afternoon as they sat in the park. "Since my sisters came, I'm nobody to them anymore. They don't want me. They don't love me. Maybe because I'm not their real son." Marco tried to reassure him, but Lorenzo shook his head. "It's been 6 years since I received a gift, a hug, a gesture of love. Everything I have, Aunt Lela gave me." That evening, Marco wanted to see with his own eyes. He accompanied him to the front door. When Sylvia saw them, she was terse. "There's not enough food for everyone. Maybe another time," she said before pushing Lorenzo into the house. "Who do you think you are to invite people here?" Sylvia growled when they were alone. "You're already a burden and you're bringing more mouths to feed? You're ridiculous. Go to your room and don't come out until I call you." Lorenzo obeyed. He climbed the stairs in silence, his heart broken. "Why doesn't anyone want me?" he thought, sobbing under the covers. That night he cried himself to sleep, exhausted. The next day, when he came home from school, he found his sisters sitting at the kitchen table having a snack and playing with letters. "Where are Mom and Dad?" he asked. "They're at the neighbor's," one of the girls replied, smiling. Then, with a distracted gesture, she threw him an envelope. "There's a letter for you." Lorenzo picked it up in disbelief. "For me?" He opened the envelope and began to read, but before he had time to get to the second line, Sylvia stormed into the house and snatched it from his hands. "Do you read our mail now?" he shouted. "No. Sorry," the boy stammered, then fled to his room. But something had changed. Who had written to him? Who still remembered him? The following Saturday, taking advantage of his parents' absence, Lorenzo rummaged through their bedroom. He found a black iron box hidden under the bed. It was full of letters. Trembling, he took it and ran to Marco's house. Those letters told a completely different story. His real parents hadn't forgotten him. In fact, they had been looking for him for years. They had been writing to him since Lorenzo was little. They told how they had opened a small restaurant. They had managed to get back on their feet, and now they wanted only one thing: to hug him again. "Dear Lorenzo," the first letter said, "we think of you every day. We have never forgotten you. Back then we had nothing. Now we have a home, a job, a future. We looked for you, but they told us you were adopted. If you want, write to us. We are waiting for you with open arms." The last letter was from the week before. Inside, there was also a phone number. Lorenzo took a breath and called. "Hello," a female voice answered. "Is this Mrs. Rossi?" she asked in a thin voice. "Yes. Who is this?" "It's me, Lorenzo." There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then the voice sobbed. "Lorenzo? My son? Is that really you?" "Yes. I found your letters. I'm sorry. They hid them from me." "Where are you? We'll come to you right away." An hour later, his real parents were there. When Lorenzo saw them, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: love. They hugged each other tightly, crying. They talked for a long time, telling each other everything. His parents immediately got moving with a lawyer, and that same evening they showed up at Andrea and Sylvia's. "Lorenzo is no longer in your custody," the lawyer declared. "We have the evidence to sue you for neglect and abuse." "And now what do you want from us? Take him away. We have enough problems already," Sylvia shouted. "You should be ashamed. You treated him like a burden. You signed to love him, not to forget him," his mother replied with tears in her eyes. A few days later, Lorenzo moved to Milan, where his real parents ran their business. They welcomed him with love and promised him that they would never leave him again. From that day on, Lorenzo learned that those who truly love you will always find a way to come back to you, even if the world seems to have forgotten you. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.